Good evening from Washington, D.C., and thank you to those of you joining us from around the world for news from a Catholic perspective. I'm Lauren Ashburn. One-on-one with Kellyanne Conway, the counselor to the president, is calling on Congress to pass pro-life legislation. White House correspondent Mark Irons joins us with more. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Lauren. I just spoke to Kellyanne Conway moments ago. We know President Trump is pro-life, but I asked her, what is he personally doing to push the pro-life agenda?
I would just remind everybody that candidate Trump is the same as President Trump. He had signed a letter committing to do 4 different things, and one of them was the 20-week ban on abortions, because after all, the pain capable or halfway point, as it's called, this is the point after which in a woman's pregnancy, nonpartisan doctors and scientists say a fetus can feel pain. And we've seen it make its way through the House. We see the Senate considering it. The president has committed to signing that into law if it reaches his desk. At the same time, we see all these stories on the 1-year anniversary of his election and almost the 1-year anniversary of his inauguration, where people are saying he's the most pro-life president in modern history. He put Neil Gorsuch on the United States Supreme Court. He's nominating pro-life men and women up and down the federal bench. He has a vice president who has a very solid pro-life record in elective office as Congress and in the governorship of Indiana. And on day 2 or 3 of his presidency, reinstated Mexico City policy and then directed Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to go beyond that. And so it's been very heartening to many pro-lifers to see that this is a president who's made good on his commitment to the pro-life cause.
She went on to say she hopes the House and Senate will follow through on pro-life legislation. She also called to mind the last presidential debate in the 2016 election. She says President Trump gave the most impassioned defense of life from a presidential debate podium in history when he questioned Hillary Clinton's views on late-term abortion. Conway tells me that many rank-and-file Democrats don't even support it. Lauren?
Mark, I was in the room in Las Vegas when he did that. You could have heard a pin drop. And it's remarkable that more than a year later, she recalls that moment so vividly.
That's right. It left an indelible mark on her memory. After my interview was over, she wanted to go back and talk about that moment. She says pro-lifers, including her, will never forget it.
White House correspondent Mark Irons. Thank you, Mark.